So I knew nothing about Bones and All going in, which was a treat because this is a film that hooks you immediately. Bones and All is the new film by Luca Guadagnino, and it's about a girl who's basically abandoned by her father because of a particular trait that I won't spoil, and it follows her and the people like her who exist and survive on the fringe of society. Now, I absolutely adore both of Guadagnino's previous films, Call Me By Your Name and Suspiria, and this feels like a sort of strange blend of the two. At its core, this is a romance film, and it's a romantic take on quite a dark thing, which I really love. And despite this movie being weird as fuck, it feels romantic in a very genuine and naturalistic way. This is not a love at first sight story. It feels like they're together out of convenience and loneliness in the beginning. These characters are genuine outcasts that really don't have anywhere they belong or anyone to guide them. They don't have people they can trust, and there's a huge mental burden that comes with just being who they are and what they have to do. There's a good bit of gore in this film, but it never feels gratuitous or like it's trying to gross you out. It's just part of the world you're in, and there's a great struggle for these people between doing a bad thing because you need to do it to survive and doing it because you enjoy it. And I really loved how they presented the characters in this fringe group of people and the various moral lines each of them have. I've never seen Taylor Russell in anything before, but I think she did a really great job in the lead. Timothée Chalamet is fantastic as always, but the real scene stealer in this is Mark Rylance. Now, that isn't very surprising. Mark Rylance is one of the best actors ever, but it's just such a weird, interesting character he plays in this movie. It's a character that, if played by a lesser actor, very easily could have felt overdone. I feel like when actors do weirder performances, sometimes you can start to see them acting rather than just believing in their character. But Mark Rylance grounds this guy so well. There's just something in his eyes that's really unsettling. Like, these kind of performances in this kind of movie don't really get awards recognition, but I really think this one should because he really stuck with me. The film was set in the 80s, and I really loved how it used the time period. Stuff like the 80s in Stranger Things feels more like a replication of how 80s films represented the 80s, whereas this feels a lot more grounded in the decade itself. It's not front and center to the narrative, but it gives the film a rough and rural texture, and it doesn't have any nostalgia for its time period. Instead, it's showing this darker thing going on beneath the surface. This film has a narration element. Our lead character is left a tape by her dad, and it's basically him laying out her life up to now and how he's not sure what she remembers, and it gives her and us just more information about what got her to this point. And structurally, it works really well, and I like what it adds to the story, but for that to work, she has to listen to it in chunks. So instead of listening to the whole thing on a long bus ride or something, she'll listen to parts of it and then abruptly stop, and sometimes it felt quite unnatural. It felt like she stops because the plot needs her to, rather than because she wanted to. It's a small thing, but it did take me out of the film a little bit, but I was always pulled right back in by the score. It was composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and they're two of the best working in the business, and this score is another example of why. It's romantic and unsettling, sometimes at the same time, but often really stripped back. The main musical theme is just an acoustic guitar, and it's beautiful. I've had the soundtrack on while I've been typing out my thoughts on this, and I honestly want to see the film again just for the music alone. It also has a song that features Trent Reznor singing. I don't know if I listened to it much outside of the film, but if you've seen Call Me By Your Name or Suspiria, you know how effectively those films have used sung moments to really pull the emotion out, and it's done again here so effectively. This was just a really beautifully done film. Behind me during my screening, there was a young couple, clearly on a date, and I really would love to know if they had a second one, because this is a bit of a wild card date movie. I don't think it's going to be for everyone, but it really worked for me. I'd give this a light 9. Thank you for watching. If you want to hear me talk about more movie stuff, subscribe.